Police arrest a 31-year-old man in connection with a stabbing attack in Hung Hom yesterday. 8 people are hurt in a 5-vehicle crash in Yau Ma Tei, including 2 pedestrians. A driver is arrested. And Swedish activist Greta Thunberg allegedly faces harsh treatment in Israeli custody after being detained during a Gaza humanitarian mission. Good evening, you're watching Cable News. I'm Cheryl Yun. Police have arrested a 31-year-old homeless man suspected of a knife attack on 2 men at HOYIBC Park in Hung Hom yesterday afternoon. The victims, who were not acquainted with the attacker, remain in critical condition. The male suspect was arrested at the Kin Wan Street Garden near Hung Hom Ferry Pier this afternoon. Police seized a pair of shoes as evidence. Police earlier deployed the water assault team to search for the weapon underwater near the park, but unstable weather delayed the mission. The attack occurred around 12:30 p.m. yesterday. 2 friends aged 20 and 37 were eating and chatting on a stone bench when the suspect, seated nearby and glanced at them occasionally, stabbed them with a fruit knife. Both victims sustained multiple injuries to various parts of their bodies. The suspect is described as a 1.7-meter tall, tanned, medium-built man with short black hair and a beard. At the time of the attack, he was wearing a gray short-sleeve shirt and fled toward Whampoa. Police noted that the suspect frequently wandered around Sham Shui Po and Hung Hom. Initial findings indicate no triad connections and no known history of mental illness in public hospitals, but the police are not ruling out possible mental issues. Police urged anyone with information to contact them immediately. 8 people were injured in a 5-vehicle crash on Jordan Road in Yau Ma Tei this afternoon. Police arrested a driver after seizing suspected drugs from his car. Online footage showed 2 private cars colliding. Then the white sedan lost control and crashed into the sidewalk, injuring 2 pedestrians. One suffered leg fracture. A pair of shoes was left at the scene. The injured were sent to the hospital. The incident occurred around 2 p.m. at the intersection of Jordan Road and Shanghai Street, where the gray car lost control and hit 2 buses and another private car. After striking the white vehicle, it came to a stop in the middle of the sidewalk. Police seized suspected drugs inside the gray car and arrested the male driver on charges of drug trafficking and furious driving. After touring the city and interacting with tourists, Financial Secretary Paul Chan is confident that Hong Kong's retail sector is showing strong signs of stabilization and growth. As the Golden Week holiday passed midway, the number of mainland visitor arrivals already climbed more than 7% compared with last year. Evelyn Bai has more.
今日就嚟到上環呢一度，同大家探索一下。
Following a trendy city walking route in Central and Shenyang, the finance chief exchanged words and took pictures with tourists from around the world. Writing on his weekly blog, Chen revealed that arrivals of mainland tourists reached 877,000 people during the first 4 days of the holiday, up over 7% year-on-year, while foreign visitor arrivals hit 126,000, rising by more than 30% compared to the same period last year. He said this year's holiday combines National Day with the Mid-Autumn Festival, along with a fireworks display. A buoyant stock market and rising visitor numbers boosted footfall. Regarding the $30.3 billion retail sales in August, a 3.8% year-on-year increase, Chen said the more than expected growth is the largest gain in 20 months. Thanks to a stable local property market, a thriving stock market, and a continuous influx of tourists. He revealed that 80% of industry respondents expect business to increase, with some anticipating double-digit growth. Looking ahead, Chen pledged to maximize the economic impact of mega events, such as Wine and Dine Festival, the 15th National Games, and the Global Financial Leaders Investment Summit, and work with industries to enhance synergy. Separately, Chen said a new batch of more than a dozen strategic enterprises establishing or expanding their operations in Hong Kong will attend a signing ceremony this week, including 3 of the world's top 10 pharmaceutical companies. Evelyn Bai, Cable News.
The Environment and Ecology Bureau has stepped up law enforcement on Sharp Island in Sai Kung after reports of littering, lighting fires, and harassment of marine life during the Golden Week holiday. The Bureau has collaborated with the Agriculture, Fisheries and Conservation Department and the police to enhance patrols in Sai Kung for the remainder of the holiday. The Bureau also deployed staff to clean up litter on the island and distribute leaflets urging visitors to protect the environment and marine life. Environmental conditions at Sharp Island have returned to normal so far. The Bureau pledged to raise public awareness about environmental protection by posting ecological conservation messages on mainland social media platforms. AFCD said it will closely monitor the coral and coastal ecosystems on the island. The Gaza ceasefire talks are set to begin in Egypt tomorrow. U.S. President Donald Trump urged swift action from both Israel and Hamas, while Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu expressed optimism on bringing all remaining hostages home in the coming days. Anna Chan reports.
As Hamas and Israel are on the verge of a ceasefire, the Israeli military escorted international journalists through Gaza City, offering a rare and limited glimpse into the territory devastated by nearly 2 years of war.
So we just arrived in one of these APCs where we drove here to Gaza City near the Jordanian hospital, and driving in the APC, you could see the soldiers. They were looking at the screens in front of them where they could see if there were any people in any of the buildings. And you could see on the screens that there was some movement of civilians in those buildings. The soldiers said that it's hard sometimes to know who's a fighter and who's not. They said they try to look for guns.
Meanwhile, some in Gaza City reported a notable easing of Israeli airstrikes, though hospital officials said dozens were killed on Saturday. Hamas accused Israel of continuing to commit massacres. Hamas earlier has agreed to free the hostages under a U.S. peace plan, but did not mention disarmament and sought negotiations on other issues. With the ceasefire talks due to begin in Cairo on Monday, Netanyahu said he hoped to announce the release of all hostages from Gaza in the coming days, in a televised statement. Following his comments, Trump said Israel has agreed to the initial withdrawal line, and once Hamas agrees to it, a ceasefire would take effect, urging the Palestinian militant group to move quickly on his plan, or else all bets will be off. Anna Chan, Cable News.
UK newspaper The Guardian reported that Swedish activist Greta Thunberg was mistreated by Israeli forces in custody after Israel intercepted a Gaza aid flotilla trying to break the sea blockade and detain about 470 people. Anna Chen again has the story.
In recent days, Israeli Navy forces boarded most of the vessels from the global Summit flotilla, attempting to break Israel's blockade of Gaza and deliver humanitarian aid. About 470 people were arrested as the ships were intercepted. The authority had since deported over 130 activists from 14 countries, including the US, UK and Italy, etc. Among them were some prominent human rights activists, such as the grandson of former South African President Nelson Mandela.
I call on you to request our government to exert pressure for my immediate release.
My name is Greta Thunberg. I'm a citizen of Sweden. If you are watching this video, I have been abducted and taken against my will by Israeli forces.
The 22-year-old environmental campaigner later told Swedish officials who visited her in prison that she faced harsh treatment with insufficient food and water. She was also reportedly dragged by her hair, beaten and forced to kiss the Israeli flag. The fleet seizure has drawn global outcry, sparking protests and strikes across many countries against Israel's actions. The flotilla, made up of more than 40 boats, was the largest yet to try and breach Israel's 16-year maritime blockade of Gaza. GSF accused Israel of breaching international law to attack their non-violent mission in international waters. Anna Chen, Cable News.
In London, almost 500 people have been arrested following protests supporting a banned pro-Palestinian group in defiance of repeated calls from authorities to cancel the demonstration. Evelyn Bai reports.
On Saturday, over 1,000 protesters gathered in Trafalgar Square to oppose the war in Gaza, brandishing flags and placards such as "It is not a crime to act against genocide," as well as some handwritten posters. Despite pleas from the authorities urging the organizer to cancel or postpone the event to respect the grief of British Jews, after the terrorist attack at a Manchester synagogue, the demonstrations went ahead.
Excuse me.
The protests have been overwhelmingly peaceful, except those who failed to cooperate with police were physically carried away. Police said the bulk of the detainees were arrested for gathering in Trafalgar Square, while some were apprehended for unfurling a banner backing a proscribed group, Palestine Action, which was banned in July after its members broke into an airbase and damaged military planes. Evelyn Bai, Cable News.
Anti-government protesters in Georgia clashed with police while attempting to storm the presidential palace in Tbilisi as security forces used water cannons and pepper spray to disperse the crowd. Over 30 people were injured and at least 5 were arrested. Tens of thousands rallied outside the presidential palace in Tbilisi during Georgia's municipal elections, escalating tensions in the South Caucasus nation amid a sweeping crackdown on dissent. Protesters smashed the palace gate and attempted to breach the compound, prompting security forces to intervene. Large crowds spilled into nearby streets, erecting roadblocks and setting them ablaze. Armored riot police deployed water cannons and pepper spray to break up the demonstrations. The protests mark the latest in a series of actions by the pro-European Union opposition, which largely boycotted the local elections and has been demanding democratic reforms and the arrest of the ruling Georgian Dream Party officials. Georgian Dream claimed a sweeping victory, stating it won elections in all municipalities. Preliminary results show the party secured over 80% of the vote, while opposition parties collectively garnered 19.3%. Prime Minister Irakli Klobakhidze condemned the protest as an attempt to overthrow the constitutional order and vowed harsh measures against those involved. Georgia has been gripped by political crisis since the ruling party's victory in last year's parliamentary election, which the opposition alleges was stolen. Syria held parliamentary elections on Sunday for the first time since the fall of the country's longtime autocratic leader Bashar Assad. In Damascus, members of Syria's electoral colleges gathered to vote for new lawmakers, determining 2/3 of the 210-seat parliament, while the remaining third will be directly appointed by interim President Ahmad al-Sharaa. All of the 1,570 candidates come from the membership of the electoral colleges. Despite not being a popular vote, the election results will likely be taken as a barometer of how serious the interim authorities are about inclusivity, particularly of women and minorities. But public electioneering was muted, with no posters or billboards visible in major cities. The interim authorities have said that it would be impossible to create an accurate voter registry and conduct a popular vote at this stage, given that millions of Syrians were internally or externally displaced by the country's nearly 14-year civil war and many have lost personal documents. Back to the city, the annual Hong Kong Paralympic Day took place at a Kai-Tak Arena, offering the public interactive sporting experiences and a chance to cheer for the SAR's para-athletes. The event welcomed participants to try 18 different disability sports, including sitting volleyball and goalball, providing a first-hand look at the challenges and resilience required in para-athletes training. An exhibition highlighted the evolution of disability sports in Hong Kong, featuring for the first time the 3 gold and 3 silver medals won by the Hong Kong team in the para-dance sports competition at the 12th National Games for Persons with Disabilities and the 9th National Special Olympic Games. The opening ceremony was officiated by Secretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism Rosanna Law and Jenny Feng, President of the China-Hong Kong Paralympic Committee. Law assured the government's commitment to supporting para-athletes after retirement, emphasizing initiatives that provide employment and education support to ensure a smooth transition into society and new careers.
On to the weather now. Mainly cloudy with a few showers. Isolated squally thunderstorms at first. Showers will ease off gradually tomorrow. Mainly fine and persistently very hot in the following few days. That's our news tonight. I'm Cheryl Yun. Thanks for watching and good night.